Hello my friends. Today, like every other day, went looking for wood. There was a listing on Craigslist, curb alert. I looked at the pictures, they had pictures, and I saw that it was definitely not oak. I didn't know what type of wood was out there, but I decided first thing in the morning I was going to go over there and see what I could find. Well, got there, looked at it, did not recognize it, as usual. But the bark, much to my surprise, was like flakes of paper. Wow, look at this. When I say flakes of paper, that's exactly what I mean. I mean, everything peels off in little flakes. Now, I mean, look at this. I mean, it's tissue paper. There's 100 layers here. Very, very thin layers of this paper-like layers. I mean, it's very soft. It's unbelievable. So anyway, not knowing what it was, got home, first thing I did, Google. Well, anyway, turns out to be a common name for it. Go figure. Paper bark tree. But it has another name for it. Melaleuca? I think I'm saying that correct. Anyway, it's a plant, it's a tree. That's originally from Australia and was brought to Florida to actually dry up the wetlands. It's a nuisance tree, and one of these people that work in controlling the environment was given an interview on this, going through a forest, massive forest of just these trees. They kill everything else around them. And they're the only survivors in the area. But anyway, he says the only good Melaleuca is a dead Melaleuca. Well, I beg to differ. I don't agree with that one bit. The only good Melaleuca tree is a Melaleuca in my shed, on my lathe. I want you to look at this. The characteristics of the wood is unbelievable. I mean, here's the outside. I mean, here's the flaky paper-like bark. I've peeled already layers of this, but it comes off in layers. And the inside, voila! I mean, it's a nice dark color, lots of character going through here. And I looked up a little further into this. Yes, it's a nuisance tree, but it's been used for crafts and for joinery and carpentry, and some companies harvest it for hardwood flooring and stuff of that sort. The wood is extremely dense. It's a hard wood. It cuts nice on the lathe. It doesn't shred up on me. Once I get through this half-inch of bark, paper bark through it, once I get inside, then I come up with a nice wood on it. Some interesting colors go through even the on the bark. So anyway, cutting some up, and one piece, don't think it was the other half from this, but I put it on the lathe. Not going to show you the turning of it because it's already turned, but I am going to show you the characteristics to it. Now, I know this one had quite a knot on the back, and I picked it up specifically because it had a weird bark on the outside. It's still the same bark, but it had a deformation on it. But you can see the colors. Now this is still wet, and I'm assuming that when it dries up it's going to be a little bit lighter, but you can see the different characteristics going through it, and I'm hoping that it doesn't become this pale white. But then again, this is, I haven't done anything except my tools on it. And let me show you the cutting of it. Now on the outside layers, you have a potential of maybe, I mean, I really don't know what happened here, but I lost a small piece there, and I got a little over 1/4 of an inch. But I'm going to show you how this beautiful wood cuts up. Now they say that it's a pretty hard wood, and it's workable when it's green. Apparently when it's dry, it becomes too hard to manage. Well, only time will tell, because there's no way in the world I can turn all the wood that I got today while it's still green. Just recently, in my neighborhood, there was this huge jacaranda tree. And it was a beautiful tree. Really pretty bark on it, nice tree formation. And every time I passed by it, I always used to wonder, what's hidden inside such a beautiful tree? And I was curious. I mean, I'd look at these branch offs, and the tree was huge. And much to my surprise, about 3 weeks ago or so, I'm passing by, and the tree is being taken down. There's tree cutters out there. They're chopping it. They already had some good sized logs near the curb, and I couldn't believe it. It's like, oh my God! So immediately I pulled over. It's like I'm all excited, and I asked the tree cutters, "Hey, can I have a few of these branches? I do woods too." It's like, "Oh, absolutely! Help yourself." I helped myself to a few logs. Now, of course, I didn't remember what the name of the tree was. I should have known. But anyway, I asked the tree cutters, what kind of tree is this? And they said, jacaranda. And as soon as they said it, of course, I knew a jacaranda. Beautiful tree, beautiful blossoms, lavender, flowers. I mean, it was just a really pretty tree. But anyway, and the core of it, the center of it, not at the branches, it didn't have much of that, but like towards the base you would have a large core like that was like dark burgundy, reddish color, and I'm thinking like, oh my God, this is going to be beautiful. And it was the worst wood I've ever encountered to try to turn. The tool just could not cut it. It would be all stringy, almost like it was a palm tree. I don't know if you've ever cut up a palm tree, but it's all straws going up the whole trunk. There might be different species that don't act like that, but the majority that I've seen of trunks cut up, that's their characteristics. It's very stringy. Well, and I don't know if you can turn a palm tree, but I know damn well you cannot turn a jacaranda when it's green. This thing would just string all over the place. It would clutter up my tool. I mean, there was so much moisture in that wood that it would like be like milk coming from the tool tips. I tried turning a vessel. Needless to say, I tried so hard to get rid of all those fibers that I blew it out from the sides. So that was a complete waste. And I tried turning another piece, and again, it was like, I can't turn it. I can't cut the fibers on it. It just becomes like all little hair. Like a Furby. So anyway, with this find of the this Melaleuca, I think it's going to be a completely different story, and we'll be seeing some projects coming out of there. So right now, it's really not a project to be seen, but it's just showing you the characteristics of this wood. Like I said, it cuts nice. It's hard. It's a hard wood. It's almost like the whole thing, though, is kind of cross grain. I mean, you know, I know that it's not, because I can definitely see that it runs in this way, but it feels like it's all cross grain in the way that it cuts. I don't have any area that's smooth on a backward stroke. Yeah, so this is going to be interesting wood turning, interesting projects coming up, and I will be posting on that. Well, I want to bring you back and talk a little bit more about the characteristics of this wood. I have to keep looking it up. Melaleuca. It's definitely a wood that requires a lot more attention to finalize it than anything I've used before. It really is going to require sanding of grits going above the 400 mark, maybe 600, 1000, 1200 grit. The piece that was in a lathe, I decided, okay, let me see how it reacts to my finish and all that stuff. So I gave it a sanding. I went through all the grits, and I see every hairline from the grit of the sandpaper. Even though I sanded with 400, probably not long enough, but everything is there. So, you know, on the oak I would sand it with 400, and you know, the same amount that I did here, and I would finish, and I'd get a good finish on it. This is definitely not a porous wood. It's very compact. Now, its coloration, I was hoping that it was a little bit darker on the overall. Still beautiful. I mean, you know, this piece specifically with these darks going through here, I don't think that's going to be the characteristics of all the pieces. It's characteristic to this one, because, like I said, it had a weird inclusion, and that weird knot that was not in there. So it had been exposed to the elements. So this one is probably a little bit more special. On this area right here, this piece just came off, clearly off. I mean, moisture must have gotten in between that area of the tree. It didn't show me anything on the inside, but it was probably like one of these darker lines, like what's going through here. Well, this one just came off the lathe. Again, this was not a turning video per se, but definitely a nice find on the wood. Well, on that wood, one of the drawbacks that I have seen, I knew that it was going to require a lot of sanding, But for some reason, I have spent more time on this little bowl than anything I have ever turned in the past. I have been sanding it, I've been going hand buffing. I mean, granted it's only been up to 400, but definitely a lot more sanding than I've ever done in any piece. And it doesn't matter what finish I apply to it, it just disappears. I mean, it looks good, but cannot get a shine on that piece of wood. Unbelievable. Now, I've tried wipe-on polyurethane, I've tried the wax mix, I've tried the shine juice, I've resanded it, sanded it over again, sanded it by hand, and it never fails. I apply it when it's wet. There's a little bit of a shine there, but it's still like in a question as to how much shine, and it just poofs. It magically disappears. So that's the one drawback, and maybe that's why it's not a wood that's being harvested much for woodcrafts. It just might not take a good finish to it. I don't even know if it would take like a stain. I know poplar is very hard to stain. You can paint it, you can do other finishes to it, but poplar is not a good wood to stain for that particular reason. This might be the same idea, that it's just can't get. I mean, who would say that I've already applied at least 4 or 5 different finishes on this, and it looks like it has none. It looks like it's a decent, or it looks like it's a mediocre sanding job up to this point. I mean, you stop and you can see the line where your sanding is not 100%. This reminds me of one thing. When I had my aquarium up, acrylic aquarium, I had some scratches on the inside, and I decided that I wanted to remove those scratches, and some were a little bit deeper, but anyway, I went through the whole inside of the aquarium with I think I started off with 600-800 grit sandpaper to get rid of the scratches, and then the whole surface became milky, transparent. You could see through it, but it was very foggy, and it took me, I mean, for a while I thought I had ruined the aquarium, but it took me a lot of hand sanding, and only once I started hitting the 1500 grit and up, that's when it started becoming clear again. So I had to go up to 3000 grit to get the shine back on the acrylic. That's what that's reacting like. I'm not saying that it's going to be to those extremes, but the little minuscule lines that I always see in there, even the wood pores, which is a tight grain. I don't understand it. It's definitely a lot tighter than oak. It kind of reminds me of cherry a little bit, but I cannot get it to shine. So that is drawback, but still not going to stop me. I will turn some good stuff out of that. Well, like always, thank you for watching. Come back again. We'll see what comes up out of this. I will maybe post a picture of this final bowl at the end. Take care.